to another episode of Paranormal, the New Normal. I'm your host, as always, Jeremy. Here trying to make the world seem a little more normal. Will I accomplish that tonight? Maybe, who knows. But, as always, I have a guest to try to help me do that. And my guest tonight is Mike Hatcher, who is a paranormal investigator, filmmaker, and an executive producer of PARAFlixx, which I've heard of PARAFlixx. I am on Parapost, and I know they're kind of related. So,
yeah, we know Brian. He's got Hunophobia. He's got some shows on PARAFlixx.
Yeah, so I've been familiar with PARAFlixx for a while, but I never actually talked to anybody that's part of it. So I kind of was looking forward to this. I was like, oh, cool, sweet.
Nice to meet you.
Exactly. But first things first, how you doing tonight, Mike?
I'm not doing too bad. You know, I'm on top of the world. You know, feeling great.
Well, there you go. That's what I like to hear.
Drinking my kids' juice.
Ah, well, we also do that. We also do that sometimes. You know, kids don't like to finish what they're given.
Right. I love the blue high C, and the red. Those are my favorites.
But I mean, give me my kids Hawaiian punch any day of the week. The blue one, oh, that's like crack. But
oh yeah.
But first question I ask everybody on this show is, what got you into the paranormal?
You know, just like everybody else, majority of the field, we all experienced it at some point young in our lives. Myself, I had some experiences as a child, but my main one that really got me heavily into paranormal, I know like a lot of hosts and a lot of shows, they love they like the dark, they like the scary stuff because that's what sells. Mine wasn't dark, it wasn't scary, it was actually very healing. My stepfather had passed away, and we didn't have a very good relationship for the last like 8 years of his life. And when he passed away right before I turned 21, and you know, when you lose a parent, you these questions form in your mind. You know, am I going to be okay? You know, did they really love me? How am I? You know, those questions.
Exactly.
And
makes sense.
Right. So one night, after the funeral, I had stayed at my mom's house, and I went to bed just running through my mind. And next thing you know, I see myself like I'm hovering over my body, watching myself sleep. And I went into the kitchen of my mom's house, into the dining room. And when I turned to the corner of the dining room, my dad just came walking out of the hallway, bright light all around him, just glowing, looks at me, gives me a hug, says he loves me and everything will be okay. And I woke up. And then it all went really from there. Just having this astral projection, out of body experience. And, you know, it was life-changing.
Sounds like it. I mean, at the end of the day, though, I mean, yeah, people like the scary stuff plenty, but I personally think the stuff that's more heartwarming is even better because it makes you want to embrace the paranormal, not run away from it.
Absolutely. And you know, that's what we get into this field for, is we want to find answers. And you can't find answers if you know, everything's scary.
Exactly. It just doesn't work if everything's scary. I mean, who would want to go on investigations if everything you run into was going to make you run like the characters in Scooby-Doo?
Right. But I run towards those locations. I'm not afraid of much. Truth be told, that is a lie. I am actually a paranormal investigator who is afraid of the dark. Just going to throw it out there.
Well, I mean, that's probably why you got into it, though, is to try to bring light to the dark.
Which is funny because you bring that up, because I am actually a light worker, and I've actually been told that I could possibly be a hybrid species from Nephilim and angels. So, because I am attracted to light, I'm attracted to the angel side and the spiritual side of paranormal. I tried studying demonology for a little bit, which I hope to get back into, but I'm more into the lighter side, and even doing shadow work. It's yeah.
Well, before I get to my second question, what made you want to get into demonology? Kind of curious.
I wanted to be a demonologist. I wanted to study. I was doing a lot of shadow work and studying shadow work. Became a shadow work practitioner, and I just started getting really spiritual about everything, and I just wanted to learn. I wanted to take on, as much as you can in the field, and get an understanding. Um, I come from an Italian background, and one of my great uncles has artwork in the Vatican. So for me, it's kind of one of those. My grandparents, I believe, had a Catholic background. My great grandfather, who I'm named after, was real big in the Catholic Church. Actually, started one here locally, not far from where I am, and they just have that Catholic background. And for me, I felt like there was a desire to want to do exorcisms, but I'm not a religious person, so I
Yeah.
to understand demonology from different aspects and how you can do it outside of using Jesus and God as your basis behind, demonology.
Well, I mean, I'm not a religious person either, and I mean, I don't know. The thought of doing exorcisms without Jesus and God, like, I, I mean, well, if supernatural showed us anything, it's just the fact you have to know Latin.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
So,
I've done house cleansings. I've helped cross spirits over. Um, and being able to do those kind of does open up a side of spiritualness in you, because you kind of have to. You got to go in a little hypocritical when you do cleansings, because you're there to make the client safe. You're there to make the homeowners and the kids safe. So you want to focus your cleansings on their religion. So in order to do that, you kind of have to have a little bit of an understanding. And that's where a lot of demonology work comes into play.
yeah, I mean, I suppose if you believe in it hard enough, you could always just be like, I command you with the power of Yoda, go back. But
You could. I mean, it's true. A lot of demonology, even house cleansings, a lot of it's theatrics. It's making the client realize. Like, my job as a paranormal investigator, if somebody comes to me and says, "Hey, my house is haunted, can you come check it out?" My job as an investigator is to tell you why your house is not haunted. Not that it is. This is why it's not. And I think a lot of people in the field tend to forget that. We always jump to it's a spirit, and
yeah, I mean, we all
hope to capture the next best evidence, but we don't actually thoroughly examine anything.
For a lot of people, that is true nowadays. I mean, it's becoming a very busy profession with a lot of different people trying to do it all of a sudden. And there's gonna be people out there that are gonna get called fakes and all that. I mean, I see it online every day.
Oh yeah, I don't even think I would call it a profession. I think it's just it's
Hobby.
a field full of hobbyists.
Yeah.
Nobody really makes money off of doing it. People feel that it's unethical to do house cleansings and investigations and not charge. And if you could do that, then I'd call it a profession. But nah, even filming.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of. I agree. It's just one of those things that. I mean, I had paranormal investigation in my house a little over a year ago now, and it was completely free, and they were just from a local organization that did it, and they determined there's a spirit living in my house, which I kind of already suspected. But I mean, the signs. I'm sorry.
A little validation always helps.
Yeah, and I mean, they use divining rods and all that to talk to them, but it's. I mean, I don't know how much I believe in divining rods. I really don't.
The dowsing rods. Yeah, I question some stuff. I question a lot of things because I also dabble a little bit. I'm real big. I will promote her everywhere I go. Her name's Sarah Sutherland. I actually did a podcast. I hosted one this morning with her on it. She's a forensic psychologist, sociologist, degrees in criminal justice, criminal background. And she has a book. It's on quantum parapsychology. And a lot of theories and debates in parapsychology is a lot of it can be in our mind, especially when you're using divination tools like dowsing rods and pendulums. If you hold a pendulum and in your mind you say swing right, it's gonna swing right.
Yeah,
because it's picking up on your energy. So if you say swing left, it's gonna swing left. So a lot of those devices, I only use pendulums to find portals. I don't use them for anything other than that. But yeah, I don't like a lot of them either.
Yeah, I mean, now the spirit box, that gets me like, I can get a little more behind that per se, but even that, like, I'm just like, I guess I just don't know. I don't know enough behind like how they work to really know if I trust them or not.
Right. A lot of them are custom made the way they're built. I personally don't know how they're built. I do know a lot of people that build them, but again, it's one of those, you're listening to something, you're expecting to hear something, and we think that's what we heard half the time. Because I'll watch a lot of stuff on like Facebook or YouTube where people will post evidence, and I'm like, I don't hear that, I don't see that. It's a matter of how we feed it to our mind that makes us believe that's what's being said.
Exactly. I mean, so much of this is just pretty much in your mind's eye of like what you expect to get out of it. But,
right.
I mean, well, let me ask you this, because this is my second question I usually ask everybody. Have you had any other experiences besides the first one when you were a kid?
Prior to that one, or any leading up to where I am now?
Any
in general?
Any in general. I mean, if you have any more spirit ones, or I mean, if you have any alien / UFO / furrier cryptids, we love those.
You see, I was never big into Bigfoot or UFOs or aliens. It was always really just ghosts and spirits. What would be a good one? Because I've filmed quite a bit. I've traveled quite a bit. So I can tell you one about. So this was actually never an investigation. This was actually a personal experience I had. I was renting a house out with my cousin. My fiance and I at the time had broken up. So my cousin and I decided to get a place together for the time being. And me, and her husband got a house. They just had a newborn baby. So we get this house, and my room's in the basement. They had the whole upstairs because they're a family. I kind of left them alone.
Yeah.
So every night when she would put their son to bed, he would scream in the crib, just scream and scream and scream. Everywhere in the house, he would sleep fine, except in his crib in his room. So my room being in the basement, I always felt like somebody was watching me through the walls, through the doors. I just got this weird sense that something was off. So I started dating this girl not long after, and she had come over one night, and she was the only person that comes over that had an iPhone. And I know it's a weird detail, but it'll work. It'll make sense.
I'm sure.
She was the only person that had an iPhone. My cousins and I, we all had Androids. So my girlfriend would have her iPhone charger. So she comes over, she stays the night, she leaves the next morning, and she texts me and says, "Hey, I forgot my charger at your house. It's not in my purse, and I haven't brought it in. It's not in my car. It's nowhere." And I'm looking around my room because that's the only place she had been, and it wasn't there. It was nowhere. I even checked upstairs, other rooms in the house, just to be sure, just to be safe. Couldn't find it. Nowhere. Well, a couple weeks later, I don't want to say a couple weeks. I want to say it was a couple days later. She comes back. My cousins were out of town. Her and I were the only ones there. We're down in my room, and I started getting this weird feeling. So I pull out my recorder, and I pull my recorder up on my phone. And as I'm doing this, my girlfriend, she goes upstairs to use the bathroom, which cool. So I stop recording on my phone, and I hit play, and I'm listening to it. And you hear this voice just go, "Look." The same time the voice said, "Look," my girlfriend comes walking down the steps. Right after that, you hear the same voice go, "Cigarette," because I'm a smoker, and so was she. So right after I hear that, my girlfriend literally asks if she can have one of my cigarettes. So I play this to her, and we went to go back upstairs to go do something. And as we're walking up the stairs, she turns around and goes, if you're the spirit that took my phone charger, I want it back now." I swear on every God that I don't believe in, that everybody else believes in, everything holy. We went back down, walking down the stairs. Her cell phone charger was laying right there on the ground.
Creepy.
So the night I left this house, I had moved out. My cousins, long story short, they up and left. They didn't even tell me they were leaving. They left me the house, and I couldn't afford it on my own. So I got an apartment with my girlfriend. The night that I was moving out of this house, I wanted to make one more trip, and I filled my car up. I went to go lock the door, make one more trip around the house, turn all the lights off, and just leave. I go walking up to the front door. I still feel, when I think about it, the heat that was coming out of that door. I felt like I had walked into the third dimension of hell. I was so scared. I took the keys, I threw them in the door, left the door open, wide open, all the lights on, and I left. And mind you, I was so scared and didn't care. That house was in the ghetto. Anybody could have broken into that house and done anything, and I didn't care. That was the scariest feeling I had ever had, and I just threw the keys and ran. I was like, "You have it. I'm not coming back." But now I drive by it because it's not far, and I'm like, "Man, I want to get back in there. I need to get in there." And it's so hard. It's a residential. You can't.
Yeah, you can't just walk up the door and be like, "I want to do a paranormal investigation in your house." Can I do it?
Have thought about it. I have thought about knocking on the door and asking if they've had experiences, because I have lived there, and just kind of saying, "This is what I do." Because there could be something dark there that could be torturing a family. Because I know when we lived there, the owner was trying to sell it. It's been on the market 3 or 4 times, and it will not sell. So that's why I just want to knock on the door and say, "Hey, let's talk."
Yeah, I get that. I mean, this house I live in now, my first house I ever bought, was the first place I ever lived that had any kind of haunting or spirit living in it. I mean, I grew up in the suburbs in a brand new built house that was built when I was like 2. So there was nothing there. It wasn't on any tainted ground or anything. So there was just nothing there. But so I got into the paranormal just by seeing books in the library and stuff when I was a kid. And seeing like the random TV shows of the 90s about that stuff. But I never experienced anything until I met my now wife, and I went to her house in the Bridgewater Triangle. Which,
oh wow,
you want to talk about things feel like someone's watching you? That house, you're being watched. There's no I feel like it. It's that's something's watching me, or a couple things are watching me.
Those are the best.
I mean, I still swear to God, the one day we were playing cards or something in the dining room of that house, and I looked out the window and I could have swore I saw glowing red eyes looking back at me.
That wouldn't surprise me.
And I literally like jumped backwards out of the chair, like going downstairs for us. I'm like, I'm going downstairs to Uncle's room for a cigarette. I'm like, I'm not. I don't want to look out the window right now. I'm good. But it's just, that house was creepy, and the amount of UFO sightings I saw at that house and my current house now as well, like it's just ridiculous. Like Massachusetts is a big UFO area, but
oh yeah, it really is.
which I mean, it's actually surprising how many people you meet nowadays actually say like, "Oh yeah, I've seen a UFO." I mean, even before the government made it like public that they exist, even though most of us wouldn't do that. But
I've never seen one.
Really?
I guess I don't think I look at the sky enough to notice.
That's the thing. I mean, I'm out there. I'm out there multiple times a night walking my dogs, and like I'll just be looking at the sky while they're doing their business. While I'm smoking a cigarette there, and I'll be like, plane, star. Why is it star moving? That's not a star. Okay, but I mean that's the thing. A lot of UFOs I see, I never get to see like the actual shapes. I always just see like what look like
The
stars
light.
that are stars that are moving, which means they're far away, but they're still there.
Oh yeah, I never really thought about that. Never thought about it that way, that they could actually just be distant moving lights. Huh. That is interesting.
I mean, usually in my mind, that just means that they're really far away from Earth and they're on their way somewhere else, or they're on their way to another part of the Earth or something. I don't know. It's rumored. I've heard talk in this town that because we live on a mountain, basically, like we live up on a big hill, and it's basically they believe that the UFOs come here to siphon metal out of our mountain and fuel up and go home or go wherever they need to go.
It's a possibility.
Yeah, I mean it's a possibility. Yeah.
I was reading a theory the other day, that we're actually the aliens, that our life actually started on Mars, and the meteorites and meteors that are floating around was a planet that collided with another planet, and we had to leave Mars, so we colonized on Earth. And they're still coming back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, I love that whole meme theory of what if Adam and Eve were the last two remaining people of the civilization on Mars, and they came to Earth to escape death, and that's when they started the human race. Like, it's like you're pulling too many threads together there,
right? Because then that also falls down into there's that theory. Then you have the Nephilim, the angels and giants that bore children together, and fairies. You start getting down this rabbit hole of theories on how the population was actually created.
Yeah, I mean, I am a huge believer in pretty much everything you just said, but I tend to go along the lines of interdimensional for a lot of it. I mean, I could fully believe that Bigfoot and Dogmen were all here before us, and this was their planet.
I can agree with interdimensional, especially with even in the paranormal, dealing with spirits. Using the cell phone charger as an example, using poltergeist activity with things moving from place to place. How is it, people see things move and things manifest out of nowhere? How does that happen without us actually seeing it floating in midair? Or,
Exactly.
It's got to be interdimensional somehow, because we're not physically seeing it.
I mean, yeah, it's not going to be like in Ghostbusters when you see the baby floating towards the window. Like, it's not going to happen that way.
Do you just disappear?
Mm-hmm.
Like say, even with these horror movies, like I know it was all fabricated and made up, but Paranormal Activity.
Oh God, I hate that movie.
I mean, they're such a scare. They're a jump movie. The first two were pretty good. But think about it. When you have these demonic beings and these entities that are, or even The Conjuring, where they pull you and you're nowhere to be found, but somehow you end up behind a wall. Like, how does that happen?
Yeah,
do you disappear with the spirit? Are you interdimensionally going through that wall?
Or is it when they touch you that you can't be seen in this dimension until they let go of you? Like,
right. How is that possible?
That is a question for a much smarter man than me. But
Unfortunately, I don't think those are answers that are going to take physicists and scientists and, not paranormal investigators.
Well, I know some paranormal investigators who are scientists, and they.
Absolutely. I know a few too.
Yeah.
They build their own equipment,
and it's their hobby though. They do it as a hobby outside their regular 9-to-5 job. But see, I don't know. It's just because I love The Conjuring too. That's a really good movie. The first one was kind of trash, but the second one's amazing. But I see. It's just I don't know. When it comes to like you, I'm not religious, so I have a hard time believing in. Oh, there's a heaven, and if you're good, you go there. And there's a hell, and if you're bad, you go there. Like I have a hard time believing the old fairy tale of that. But I was brought up to believe that. But if there is a heaven, my grandfather's shaking his head at me from it. But I fully believe that. I've been told by multiple mediums and psychics, and this basically formed my belief that when we move on, our spirit, our energy, whatever you want to call it, goes somewhere, but it's another dimension that is basically a big waiting room, like at the DMV, and you're waiting for your number to get called to go back down to another body.
It's spiritual hangouts.
Yeah.
Basically. And yeah, it's I believe that. I believe until our spirit and our soul, I believe in soul contracts. I believe that your soul and your energy, your life path is chosen before you're born. And that's why we have a lot of miscarriages, is because the soul and your soul energy chooses you. So if a soul energy comes down into an impregnant woman and says, I like this child is ready to live this life. Well, there's my vessel, there's my body. But if the soul comes down and notices that maybe the dad's not ready for a child, maybe the dad's not ready in his life, or the mom's not ready in her life to take care of me, then they're not ready and I don't want it. And I thoroughly believe that is true.
Interesting. I never thought of that, and no one's ever said maybe that's the reason there's that miscarriages. I never thought of that. That's
I
theory.
I believe it because my wife and I were trying to have a baby, and I remember saying something when we were trying. I was like, I hope we get a girl. I want a girl. I was full set on having a girl. I wanted a girl. My wife ended up getting pregnant and ended up it actually ended up dying. So she lost the first one. And then we tried again, and beautiful baby girl. Beautiful. She's phenomenal. She'll be 4 in 2 days. And to me, that was before she was born. I was a very angry person, very angry at life, depressed, hated everybody, everything, big alcoholic. I drank a lot, on the verge of a divorce. And about a year ago, I got into shadow work, which led me to studying about what's called neuroplasticity, which is rewiring your mind, rewiring your brain, overcoming limiting beliefs, and getting yourself out of depression, getting yourself out of those beliefs that hold you back in life. So that led me to becoming a certified life coach. And so to me, that is, my wife tells me now, she goes, you didn't want a daughter. You didn't want a girl. You needed her. During the midst of my changing and my path of becoming a better person, my wife and I got in my wife and I haven't been in a fight in over a year now. The last one we got into, I was drunk, and she looked at me and said, how would you feel if your daughter brought home a man like you? That shut me up. that was the day I started studying, learned about neuroplasticity, and just I've been the happiest person I had never thought I would ever be after 36 years, 35, 36 years of just living in depression and darkness.
Yeah, I could totally get that. I mean, when I met my now wife, then when I started dating her about 5 years ago, almost now. Actually, shit, is it gonna be 6 years almost? Yeah, 6 years almost now. She already had a almost 1-year-old daughter and a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old son, and like I always wanted kids. I always told myself I did ever since I was a teenager. I said I wanted kids someday, but all of a sudden I'm dating this woman with kids, and I wasn't quite. I mean, I was the same way. I mean, I never like to say I was an alcoholic. I was definitely indulged in alcohol plenty, but I was a big guy, and I rarely ever actually got feeling. It was just the taste. I like to sit there and drink back whiskey all night for the taste, but it's just the way it was, or gin tonics, or take your pick. But but I mean,
I never had that limit of knowing when to stop. Like that was my big thing with alcohol, was I just didn't know when to stop. Because I liked getting drunk. I liked being out of my mind. But that was the problem. Now you're right. Now I still drink. I'm not saying I quit. I'm not sober. I do still drink, because for me, it's the taste. For me, now it's why I'm drinking. I'm drinking. I'm watching a football game. I'm drinking because I like to have a margarita with my Mexican, that's what I'm drinking for now. Now I'm not drinking like I was to just be fucking, sorry if I can't cut.
Oh, no. Doesn't matter.
But I would drink because I got up in the morning. I would drink because I stubbed my toe on the kitchen counter, or like I would have to find reasons to. And now I do it because there's an occasion, and that's something that was very tough for somebody like me to do.
Yeah, which I mean, I get that. I mean, and I never thought I had a purpose either. I mean, I used to just go to work every day, and I hated life, and I would wrap myself into work basically because it's the only thing that made life worth living. So I would, yeah. I mean, that's why
that's how I was. And it's. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say it's especially tough in situations, even what getting with a girl with kids, that's a tough situation, even because when my wife and I got together, she had a 3-year-old already, so it was kind of hard to do that parental communication, that disciplining is still kind of like, we've been together for 8 years and we still can't communicate on discipline. We still can't, because I have that, well, he's not mine, I don't feel like I can, kind of thing. And it gets tough.
Oh, I never had that issue. Like if she told me like he's not listening, like talk to him, or if I used to go over there like every other weekend to her house and spend the weekend, because we lived like an hour away, an hour 15 minutes away from each other when we met. So I would go to her house every other weekend for the weekend once we went on a few dates. And it got to like, she would tell me like he's been horrible for the last 2 weeks, like he just doesn't listen, he disrespects me. I'd sit down and have a talk with him, and if after a couple of visits, if that didn't work, then you know what? Maybe he needs a little spanking. You know what? I told him I would never punch a kid. I would never do anything like that. But I have no problem with spanking because it's worked since the beginning of time. So
absolutely.
Which, I mean, that's as far as I'm willing to go. But it's just, and he's a good boy now. Like I kind of made him realize you have to respect your mother and you have to listen to your parents. Which now I'm one of them, but you have to listen to them because it's just the way it is. But and of course the daughter, who is now 5, almost 6, she has me wrapped around her finger. She knows it, but she also uses that to get away with murder because she knows Daddy can't get mad at her if she comes in for a hug. She knows
right.
That.
Same. My daughter's the same way. When she gets mischievous and she knows she's in trouble, she goes, "But Daddy, I love you."
Oh,
and like, how do How do you get mad at that?
I literally will walk away and go outside and be like, mother, she pulled it again. She pulled it again.
Yep. It's just something about the girls. It's, you want them to know. And I had that conversation with my wife this morning, or not this morning, a little bit ago, that I'm glad that my wife and I were able to work through our divorce and work through not getting one for the sake of the kids. My wife and I just could never come together as a couple until recently. And now it's, you could see the reflection, the kids and us, we all have a better relationship. And I told her, I was like, the one thing that I'm very proud of is I think no matter what happens between you and I down the road, my daughter's not going to have daddy issues.
No,
she's not. She has that comfortability where we'll be watching a movie and she'll just, Daddy, I want to cuddle. Daddy, let's cuddle. Or Daddy, I'm ready for a nap. Let's cuddle. And I'm so glad that there are daughters, and especially that I'm sure yours is going to be one. Mine is just going to be that daddy's girl forever and just be smart and, just be independent and take and just love who she is and be a free spirit.
Exactly. I mean, my daughter's the same way. Like every night, I mean, especially lately, but every night, like for a long time, it was always when you're trying to go to bed, it's just, can we go in your bed and cuddle? I'm watching us, sure. Why not? Like, it's like my wife didn't like it for a long time because like she just thought it was weird. But I'm like, that's just because you weren't like that with your father when you were young, because your father wasn't the best father. So
I thought that too. It does get to a point where you're like, it feels a little awkward and a little weird. Even the other day, she wanted to take a bath and my wife wasn't feeling good. And my wife gives her the baths because my wife's a mail carrier. So she's only got a limited time during the week to really spend with our daughter. So Sundays have become the number one day that, you have to take a bath. She does it like 2 or 3 times during the week, but Sundays are the days mom gives it. So she got upset because my wife wasn't feeling good. So she's like, no, I'm not going to give you a bath tonight. We'll do it in the morning. And so she got super upset and she goes, Daddy, will you give me a bath? And I'm like, oh, I can't have this conversation with you. You're only going to be 4. And I told my wife, I'm like, that's just to that point where I just think it's uncomfortable for me.
Yeah.
I just can't do it. I don't know.
I mean,
and I haven't talked to another dad that's been in that situation. So how would you handle it?
Well, I mean, basically, I mean, my daughter doesn't take baths anymore. I mean, she hasn't in a year or two. Now she takes showers. So, I mean, I'll go in there, turn the water on, let it start getting warm, and she'll get undressed, she'll hop in, and then I go in every once in a while to check on her and make sure like that she's not wasting time. That's a big thing with her, or that she's not making a mess with the soap, because that's a big thing with her, is making a mess of soap anywhere, whether it be sink or shower.
Unfortunately, that's just a girl thing.
It is, but so I mean, it doesn't make me uncomfortable so much. That's just more like okay, I have to get this done so she doesn't stink going to school. Like that's why, like I mean, even before that, like when she wasn't going to school, it's just like, all right, she needs a shower. Like she needs to get in the habit of showering multiple times a week, and then eventually daily when she gets to a certain age. And by that age, I don't want to be in there, but still, I mean, it just, once it gets to a certain point, I mean, hopefully the next few years she'll be like a brother and just jump in without needing help at all. So,
right.
I mean, but I get the uncomfortableness of it, because I mean, it just is weird, especially in today's culture. Like, well, I mean, even in the olden culture, it would have been worse, even because men never did that back in the day. Men never gave their kids baths back in the day. It was always the mother's job. And
now you have all these entitled teenagers and kids that are suing their parents for not getting permission to change their diaper. They're suing their parents because they chose, and it's setting us up for, well, how do we handle this?
Oh, if my kids ever try to sue me, I swear to God, I will take them and
That's
put
what
them
I
back where
mean.
they
It's
came from.
you haven't seen anything like that?
I can't. I mean, other than like movies, no. But I
No,
am also I don't watch the news, but that's also part of it.
I really don't. I don't either, but I get caught up here and there on certain things just to stay up to date. But it's just ridiculous the sense of entitlement that these young kids have now, and it sets us up for shit like that.
And I mean, it's even worse nowadays with the freaking computer games and video games that they have. That they like, God forbid, my son doesn't play Roblox for like easily 5-6 hours a day when he has school, and like 12 hours a day when he doesn't have school. Like, God forbid. Like,
Right.
if I take it away from him as a punishment, he literally acts like a drug addict losing his drug. Like, that's literally what it's like. Like
No
the
kids.
crying, the screaming, the stomping. Like, it's literally like a drug addict when you take away their drugs and they're like losing their minds. That's what reminds me of it. It's sad. It's an addiction to a point for them now. And I mean, yeah, our video games weren't as cool when we were kids. Like, they were okay, but you got bored of them eventually and you wanted to go outside and play or something.
Right.
Nowadays, you have
I
to
still
force
get
them.
bored of them. I still get bored of playing video games.
Oh no! I mean, I easily will spend a whole 12-hour day playing video games just because I can. I'm an adult, but
Right,
it's
right.
just
I have my days where I can, but I also know that if I can't. I'm one of those that I can't sit there and not be productive. I like being busy, but I have my days where I'm like, you know what? I just want to play some. I've been playing The Last of Us again. I've played that like 3 or 4 times and hooked on the show.
Oh, I mean, my wife just started playing it, and then like I told her, like, there's a show coming out soon. Then like 2 weeks later, the show came out. I was like, oh, I thought it was a lot further out than that, but okay. But I mean,
they're both phenomenal. And I don't like games like that, but I love that game.
see, I'm not a big fan of games like that. I prefer
Mm-hmm.
RPGs or stuff along those lines. It's just
Yeah, I don't like the storyline where you have to find clues and get through and find your way around. You're right. I like sticking to the action. Like I'll play some Call of Duty. That's what I want. I want action. I don't want a storyline and people talking.
Oh no, I love a good storyline if it's actually good. I mean, comic book video games nowadays are like watching a freaking Marvel movie.
Right.
So, I mean, with getting to play the action in between. So, I mean, I love it. But
no, this one, The Last of Us, if you haven't played it, you haven't heard about it. It's a very phenomenal storyline. And I got it from the video game. So,
I mean, yeah, it's funny because like we're watching the first episode last week, and my wife's literally like, "This is exactly how the game starts, like word for word." And I'm like, that's strange. You think they would change it up a little bit for TV, but
no, they wanted to keep it as close to the game as they could. Yeah. Even down to certain specifics are the exact same, down to words are the same. They did it magnificently. They did it wonders. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, my dream nowadays though is that they got to eventually do a video game where you become a cryptid hunter and try to go capture Bigfoot or even not even hunters, where you could be a cryptid investigator and go around the world looking for famous cryptids and like put a storyline behind it, like, oh, evil forces are trying to capture all these to make them work for them. Like, you just stop them and get them to come to your side before they do. Like, make it a storyline game, but make it cryptid based.
Yeah.
Like, Paranormal is big enough these days where they need to make like video games about it.
Other than Phasmophobia or whatever that game was.
I mean, not even just Ghosts and Spirits. There's plenty of games out there with Ghosts and Spirits. I mean, I played Luigi's Mansion back in the day, but it's just, but you need, I don't know. I mean, yeah, they threw like Mothman into Fallout 76, and they threw like Bigfoot. They threw Bigfoot and Jersey Devil into Assassin's Creed 3. But I mean, come on, like, give us a real game. The paranormal world is dying for a video game.
Oh yeah,
Ubisoft, listen to this. That's what I want to make it. They can make anything they want, and I'll play it. But
so, are you a paranormal investigator?
No, due to lack of time, mainly more than anything. I mean, between being a full-time job, parent of 2 kids, 2 dogs, and running three, well, not running, but running 2 podcasts, being on a third, guesting on other ones constantly, just there's no time. I'm a podcaster first. I mean, the paranormal is just where my love was, and that's where I wanted to start my solo show about. Because the paranormal to me is been a love since I was a child, and then other podcasts kind of reignited it like 6-7 years ago, and I want to talk to different people in the world that know paranormal like I do and can talk theories and go back and forth. And I've been on roundtables now with other podcasters about it. It's the most fun thing in the world to do, to be able to just sit there and talk like, what if this is true? No, but what if this is true? Like, it's a wormholes. We always say we're jumping down wormholes constantly talking about paranormal because there's so many directions you can go.
Oh yeah, that's life. Everything's a wormhole.
It basically is. I mean, we did a roundtable about ghosts a couple weeks ago, and it easily went an hour and a half, 2 hours, because it's just us spitting out different theories and talking everything. And I think we're doing one this weekend on UFOs and aliens, which I can't wait for, and abductions, because I am not big into the ghost spirits thing. I mean, I live with one, and I like ghosts and spirits, but I prefer things that are flesh and blood, or that, I mean, the idea of aliens is fascinating me since watching like TV shows when I was a kid. I mean, it's just the way it goes. I mean, you grow up watching Spock talk about aliens on a freaking reality show, and you are a documentary, and you want to learn more about it. That's the way I see it. But I mean, I keep saying, like, I know paranormal investigators in my area, and I gotta go eventually with one of them to do a investigation or go and squatching. That's what I really want to do, is go squatching with somebody.
Well, you'll always make time for the things that you want to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a firm believer of that. Always, the one thing I will say is always stay true to who you are, and really always remember what got you there. Always, take some time and investigate, take some time and get out and get a feel for the field, and it could help spark some more ideas and more visions to take to podcasts.
Yeah, see, that's the problem though. I am not sensitive in any way to anything. Like, when it comes to like the paranormal, I can't speak to them. I can sense them only if I feel like I'm being watched. But other than that, like my wife could just sense when one's standing in the doorway next to us, and I'm like, I didn't feel a thing. Like, the only time
I could do that too.
I mean, the only time I ever get a feeling is when I'm talking to psychics and mediums. That's when I get a feeling, like, where there's something in the middle of my head and it's like glowing and glowing, but I can't turn it on. I don't know. Everybody says meditate. I'm like, I don't have time to meditate. I really don't.
You really have to. You really have to hold yourself accountable and do it. I can't meditate either. I actually find it easier for me because a lot of meditation is really just clearing your mind, getting into that calm space. Me, I have a 15 year background in music. Before really getting into paranormal, I was a musician. So the only time my brain has ever actually shut off is if I'm listening to music. So when I meditate, I have headphones in and I'm listening to like hardcore death metal or hardcore music, just something that relaxes me and calms me down.
See, that's the funny thing is I run a freaking music podcast, and even when I'm listening, Maniacal Music Musings.
I don't think I've heard of that one.
We've been doing it since, I don't know, May or June. We're a rather new one, but it's an album challenge show. Each week our guest brings on an album, and me and my co-host have to try to match it with our own albums. And
okay,
so, but even when I'm listening to albums for that show, I always have to go back and rewind tracks because I can't focus like on the music. Even I'll be listening to a song and all of a sudden something else will hit my head and it'll just be like, I'll look down, it's like 2 songs later, I'm like, what the hell's happened? Like, it's just like I can't, and I have to do it while driving. I hate just sitting around and listening to music. Like, to me, that's just not something I ever did. Like, driving is the one time where I can really appreciate music.
I do love to listen to music and drive.
I mean, it's just the road and the music. It's the best time to appreciate music. But
oh yeah,
because if I'm home, I'm playing video games when I'm listening to music at home. I'll turn the video games down all the way if I can, and I'll just listen to music while I play. But still, I'm not paying full attention to the music because I have something visually that's making me look at it. So I mean, it's just it's I mean, it's not easy, but
well, there's me. I'll turn up the music and the video game and try and listen to them both. I like to party.
Oh yeah, I mean, see, that's my wife. She likes to blast the music till like 2-3 in the morning and have it blasting in the living room, and that's not me. I can't do that. To me, that's annoying. I constantly get in fights with her over it. Like, turn that shit off. Like, I don't. Even if it's a band I like, I'll be like, turn that shit off. I don't want to hear it right now. Like,
oh, I won't do it in the house.
Oh, she will.
No, we have a ranch, and it's one floor. So I actually have like this area I'm talking in now, right here. See if I can turn my computer the right direction. This here is a doorway, obviously. Yeah. This whole area, this half it's pretty big. It's about the size of 2 garages. I collect antiques and haunted items, so that's full of them. And then I have this office here where I do all my work. So I have a whole room in the area where I can have the music as loud as I want. You can't even hear it in the house. So I love it.
That's what my wife needs, but she's scared to go in the garage because of the spirit. And she doesn't want to go in the basement because we have a radon issue. But you collect haunted items. What's your most interesting piece you own?
Oh, that's a hard one. What do I got here? You said interesting. Everything's interesting.
Or which one do you get the most activity from, I guess I should say?
The one I get the most from is this doll right here.
Really?
Yes.
That almost looks like the doll my grandma gave my daughter for Christmas.
Her name she actually does have a spirit attachment. Her name is Emily. It's a little 6-year-old girl. Died of a head injury. I believe she fell off of a power wheel and busted her head open. Yep.
That's horrible. But
she's attached to me. She won't leave my hip.
Huh. Interesting. I know, like, I have friends who, like, they want to own, like, Robert the doll, or they want to own Annabelle, and I'm just like, why would you inflict that hell upon yourself of wanting to hear Robert running around while you're sleeping and whatnot? Like, I'm good. I am so good on that.
I think then there's me. I think it would be awesome to experience. I mean, I create scrying mirrors, so I create and open portals. They're all open in my house. I actually lost track of how many I have, but I mean, we some of us do it for the thrill. Some of us do it to, have a play. I do mine as a place to try and find answers, as opposed to, got to fly all the way up to Vermont to go to Wilson Castle. I got to fly all the way down to such and such for this. But I am actually powerful enough with the things that I know how to do and communicate with spirits to where I can actually bring spirits from locations to my house. And I don't even have to leave my house. And I can probably investigate a location that way.
That's pretty cool. That's a different way of doing it that I never even heard of before, but that's definitely cool.
That's Emily, the doll here. I actually call her, she's my little CIA agent. That's what I call her. Because every time before I do an investigation or I film, I get feelings and energy, dreams of the location that we're going to, and I'll start getting these just feelings. And I'll tell her, I'll be like, hey, you get to go to this location before I do. You scope it out and tell me what it's like. Tell me what you feel. Tell me what, and she'll prepare me. She'll tell me what I need to do, how to handle it. And she's, for a little 6-year-old spirit, she's dominant. She's not scared.
I can only imagine I can only imagine my 5-year-old as a spirit, and that she'd probably be like that too. I imagine, but she's tough. I mean, she could throw a punch. My 5-year-old girl could throw a punch that will make you like. That makes me literally jump back sometimes and be like, "Ow, what the hell?" Like it actually hurts to a degree. Like it's like, oh my god. Like I never thought in the world a kid would actually hit me and it would hurt, but
Right.
it can. But
Oh yeah.
oof.
Oh yeah.
So
my daughter likes to aim for the face, so I don't know. I know.
No, my daughter, she knows better. She knows better than that. But
She knows she won't actually do it, but there's been a few times she'll come up to me and she'll get, Daddy, you don't give me chocolate milk, I'm gonna punch you.
And that's when they never get the damn chocolate milk. That's for damn sure.
Oh yeah, yep.
But let me ask you this before we wrap it up. What is the most interesting place you've actually gone and investigated?
Most interesting or most haunted?
I mean, I guess it could be one the same, or what's the one you were
Okay.
looking forward to? What's the one you were looking forward to the most? Because I like to see it from your perspective.
So the one that I was looking forward to the most and has actually become one of my favorite locations. I've been to three times actually. Wilson Castle in Vermont. I know you probably hear about it a lot. I highly recommend it. Filmed a documentary there.
Huh.
It is available. It's available on YouTube. It's called Goodwill Haunting, kind of like Goodwill Hunting, but Goodwill Haunting.
I love that.
But I was able to showcase some of my abilities. I was able in the documentary to cross a spirit over, help guide in that. When I first walked into the location itself, I felt at home. I felt welcomed. I felt like I had been there before. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of people say that about locations. They say, oh, I feel like I'm at home. I'm comfortable. I feel like this is where I belong. Well, after me actually visiting this location, I had 3 intuitives that have never met each other, never spoken to each other, 2 of which I've never spoken to or even talked to before, reach out and tell me that there's a female spirit in this building who is mad at me, does not like me. She's bitter, but she is she's a well-known spirit at the location. It's said that she looks out the window waiting for her lover to appear. And this is in what's called the bridal suite. So all 3 of these intuitives, like I said, 2 I had never met, all 3 did not know each other, tell me that in my past life, one of my past lives, I was the man that she was in love with. She was having an affair on her husband. He found out and left her at the altar. So she stands there waiting for the love of her life. And that was me in a past life.
Interesting.
So people go there and they'll call me, they'll text me and message me and say, we're in the bridal suite and we're getting your name on the spirit box. We're getting your name on the recordings. And so I'm hoping to get back up there soon and actually find some answers.
What part of Vermont's that in?
Rutland.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, good.
Dr. Rutland.
I'm curious. Because I always forget how big Vermont is, but it doesn't seem like it is, but it's decently big. I mean, yeah, that's about like 2:15 away from me. So
I drove the whole 10, 12 hours. That's how far it is.
Well, maybe next time you go up there, maybe I'll have to join you.
I'm hoping to get up there again soon. I loved it. It'll probably be a little bit before I get back up that way.
Yeah.
But you definitely want to go somewhere that's historical. I mean, she's got items in there from the king, queens that have been rulers. You know, she's got it's a gorgeous building full of history.
Well, maybe we'll have to do a podcast crossover next time you go up there and do a live from it.
Oh, absolutely. I'd hope to get back there soon.
I mean, as much as my wife would love to go, my She'd want to bring the kids, and I'd be like, hell no, I'm not taking
It's kid friendly.
Really?
Yeah, they have tours. To me, there's really nothing very dark there. We believe there is in the basement, but it's a comfortable place. You can take kids.
I mean, that's the one thing. I don't want anything getting attached to my kids. That's the thing.
I say at least take a tour. Go through a tour. And if anything gets attached to your kids, I know how to get rid of them. So just
true.
Get a hold of me.
Huh. Well, definitely might to go check that out at some point when it gets a little nicer out and there's not a foot of snow on the ground like there is right now. But
we just got hit yesterday.
The last 24 hours have not been fun taking the dogs outside. But
I don't doubt it.
God. Yeah, and mastiffs love snow, so they are hopping around like a freaking bunny in the snow and eating it and running around like playing in it. It's just like, oh, I want to go back inside. Come on, guys, go bathroom already. But
I don't do good in snow. I can't. I live in Ohio. I hate snow.
Oh, I lived in the Northeast all my life, and I hate freaking snow. I hate fucking snow. Like, it's just always been a thing. When I was younger, it was one thing. Now it's just like I'm too old for this shit. One time I moved to North Carolina or South Carolina or Florida or something. But
I'm hoping to do that in the next couple of years. Just my wife and I are looking down towards Gatlinburg and heading down to Tennessee and just living in the mountains.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't mind going to New Orleans, honestly, or outside New Orleans, like a suburb. But because
I want land. I want land. I want quiet.
I want
those creepy woods around the house. I want that shit that scares everybody that doesn't make them want to come over. Like, give me that.
Yeah, that sounds like my wife more than me. When we were buying the house, she's the one who says, "Oh, we need at least 1.5, 2 acres." I'm like, "Why?" She's like, "So we have no neighbors." I'm like, "Who cares?" But
see, we did that too. Before the house we have now, we have a little over half an acre. But we moved from 2 acres. We had 2.5 acres before we moved here, and we get it for the kids.
Yeah.
But everything you get for the kids, they never use. So we're sitting on 2 acres, and they just want to hang on the front porch.
Exactly. I mean,
so we downsized the yard, and now I'm like, man, this yard's too small.
Oh no, I'd be happy. So much less yard to mow, so much less yard to freaking snow blow. I'd be down for that. Like,
see, I'm a landscaper. I mow in the summer, so I love doing it. But yeah, I don't mow my own yard. My wife does because I do it all day. Why do I want to do it here?
Oh my God, I love that. But so, first of all, thank you for coming on. Our start time got a little hectic there, but at least we got it done. And
absolutely. Yep.
We had a fun and good interview. I loved it, and I can't wait for my listeners to hear it. But tell them where they can find you, your podcast, your movies you direct, wherever they can find you.
You can reach out to me. You can find me. I do run. It is called WLTKDB Radio. I run behind scenes for that. I've actually got a show I'm running here in a little bit, but I run behind the scenes there. I also have a podcast on it with Renee. It's called Unfiltered. It's our weekly podcast where she does live readings, and after she focuses on your chakras, and after she gives you the live reading, she hands it over to me, and I throw in some life coaching tips and some life coaching questions and techniques that you can help unblock yourself. You can figure out and focus on yourself and unclear chakras. And PARAFlixx, of course, you can find me on PARAFlixx. Behind the scenes, I do all the graphic design work. I'm the executive producer. I make all the commercials. Other than that, you find me on Instagram at Mike Hatcher Official. Twitter, I don't use all too much, and I'm mainly on Facebook. So that's probably your best bet to get a hold of me.
And is PARAFlixx available yet on like Roku or Samsung TVs?
Yes. It's available on Roku, Apple Store, Android, Apple TV. Yeah.
All right, I'll have to check it out because my wife would love it more than anything.
Yeah, go ahead and when you subscribe, if you do, it is $3.99 a month. I could be wrong on the yearly. I believe it's $34.99 a year.
Yeah.
But if you use code Mike10, it'll get you 10% off the first 3 months.
Cool.
That's my little discount code for anybody that's listening. There's a lot of great content on there. My first documentary I ever filmed and edited is on there. So
interesting. Yeah, my wife always complains she's got nothing to watch because she loves like the horror genre. So
if she gets into the Ghost Finders or anything, the Ghost Finders are on there. Talk show with Patty Negri, if she knows who Patty Negri is. She's from Ghost Adventures.
Oh yeah, she doesn't. Those type of shows she doesn't really go for. She likes the more scarier stuff that like the stuff that I'm like the stuff that I'm like, why do you watch this? But
my wife questions me too, so it's okay. I like the morbid, the bloody supernatural stuff, and my wife's like, I want to watch The Notebook.
The Notebook. But yes, thank you for coming on, Mike. It's been an amazing show. As all my listeners know, you can find me on Facebook as Paranormal The New Normal / Maniacal Music Musings Podcast with an S Facebook group. You can find me on Twitter and the Gram as at Juggalo Bastard. You can find me on TikTok as Juggalo Bastard Podcast. And you can find us on YouTube by searching Paranormal The New Normal. And until next time, I will catch all my listeners then. And Mike, thank you for coming on. It's been an honor, and we'll definitely maybe have to have you back sometime to tell some more stories about your investigating and your filmmaking.
Absolutely. And if I'm ever in Vermont, I'll hit you up. I'll let you know.
Oh, please do. It's only a 2-hour drive, and my wife always wants to get out of the house more. So there we go.
2 hours is better than my 12. So enjoy it. Take it when you can.
I ain't going 12 hours nowhere in a car. Come on now. But I will see you next time, listeners.